Hi, Patrick. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today? It
Doing great, sir.
was nice to meet you the other evening. We didn't have
Yeah,
too much time to chat, but we did have a chance for you and your president to share your flyer with me, so that worked out good.
thank you. I'm glad to
Got it
know.
right here.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
yeah. What I really liked about this, and then we can talk about what I mean, it's your meeting, so I want to make sure we cover what you wanted to talk
Sure.
about. But what I was quite struck with was that this, and I said it at the time, this is an example where you're doing international work with a local component. So it's not a global grant, it's inviting people to walk for Girls in Water, or it's an opportunity to, do an event where you're packing food for hunger. And so both of those are intended, this food for hunger is what the Haiti and the Philippines and other locations. And then well, Girls in Water, I mean, it's basically in Western, how do you say that? Rajasthan?
Rajasthan. Yep.
Yeah. So I really like this. I think this is very cool. So
Very
one
happy
of
to.
the things we're talking about with the people at our international service committee, which includes Cecilia Babkirk, and I don't know how long you've been in Rotary or been involved in international, but she has mentored many people for a long time, probably since 2005 or something. So
Oh,
we
wow.
view her in the district as sort of the expert in grants, and then Peter Anderson is also on that committee, and he was an international chair some years ago. And then we have Shannon Chan, who was immediate past president and was on Gita Kadambi's international service time last time. And so when we're thinking about the project fair that we want to do at the Avenues of Service on October 2nd, in addition to global grants and people who want to talk about global grants, we also wanted to make room for being able to discuss these other ways that people can engage that are different than global grants, but ways. And so this is a wonderful little example right here. I say little, I don't mean to suggest it's little, but it's a nice example of just that. So with that, let's talk about what you wanted to talk about. So I
Yeah,
just giving
sure.
you my first impressions.
Definitely. I think you set the right expectation, right tone for our meeting.
Okay, great.
Thanks for those kind words. We are yet to realize how those events will turn out to be, but we are optimistic that we'll be successful in getting them where
And
they're
one's
supposed to
coming
be.
up really soon, isn't it? On the walk. Well,
18th.
one of them, the packaging thing is this weekend, right? On
The following weekend.
the following weekend. It's
Yeah.
well, the one oh you read the well, one is July 18th, right? So
Mhm.
today's only the 9th. That's right. Oh, thank goodness, because I would have been late on a report that's due. So at any rate, yeah,
Right. So that's on 18th, and the other one runs for a week from 19th to 23rd.
right, right.
Yeah. So the most important reason I kind of set up this meeting was
Mhm.
to thank you for the note that you sent to Priya, and Priya actually connected myself and Dilip to you
Good.
because I didn't know at a district level we had a committee for international service.
Righto.
So you sending the pictures of the Nicaraguan project, right? That kind of made me feel very happy and excited about the impact we have at international level.
That's
Uh,
fun. Yeah, I'm glad that resonated with you. Oh,
yep.
since I updated my Zoom, my virtual backgrounds are not there, as I have that. Those two pictures are in a virtual background now that
Oh,
says
okay.
Rotary and Engineers Without Borders. But for some reason, after I updated Zoom, it's not showing up in
Showing
my
up.
list
Oh,
of
okay.
virtual backgrounds. But
Got it.
I'm glad that resonated with you. And
Yeah.
I was in Engineers Without Borders before I was in Rotary, and so I really like it when there's, well, I like international service, international development work, and both Engineers Without Borders and Rotary, particularly when you move to global grants on the Rotary side, but Engineers Without Borders, any projects, they really put a big emphasis on sustainability, a big emphasis on measurement and evaluation, monitoring, and a big emphasis on making sure that the community needs assessments are done up front. So it's not just some do-gooders from Canada or the US wanting to come someplace and put in something they think the community
Hmm.
ought to have.
Okay.
It's really it's really going to the trouble to figure out what resonates with the community. What do they want? And what are they willing to commit to and make a contribution to, not necessarily monetarily in the case of Rotary, but in the case of Engineers Without Borders, they actually, it sounds kind of cruel, but they insist on a 5% cash contribution for the capital costs up front. I mean, the community has to show they have the capacity to do that. And they introduced that a few years ago. And at first I thought, this is really unrealistic and unreasonable. And they said, it's not. If you look at international development projects, the difference when a community puts money and skin in the game, in addition to whatever in-kind labor or volunteer work or feeding the people who come to do the project or putting them up in their homes, the fact that they have cash in the game means, one, that they think carefully about what they are willing to do. Because if you try and give them a gold-plated system that's too expensive, even though it's a relatively small fraction, 5%, then they're likely to say, wait, can we do something less expensive? And then both of them, have an emphasis. Both Rotary and Engineers Without Borders have a big emphasis on ensuring sustainability. So both of them insist on knowing, well, how will the system be maintained? And in the case of Engineers Without Borders, that water supply project, we've had a good bit of conversation with the community, and there we have the good fortune that we have an in-country in Nicaragua Engineers Without Borders country office. And so they've done sessions on training about how do you set the rates for a water distribution system. So you'll make sure that people pay enough money for the water so you can afford to pump it, and you can afford to fix the pump when it breaks, and maintain the pipes and the tap stands and all that. So at any rate, you push my button. Obviously, I'm going on and on. I'll be quiet again.
No. I think whatever you say is definitely helpful. Like, I didn't know about Engineers Without Borders. I just knew about Doctors Without Borders.
Right.
So that's something interesting to learn today.
Yeah. No, I'm glad to share that. So what other questions do you have for me?
Yeah. So I'll give a brief introduction on how I got to know about Rotary. I've known Rotary since my childhood because my father started a club in India. So I was just attending all these fellowship meetings and making friends over there. I also had the opportunity to visit a few of the events where Rotary was doing the End Polio activity.
Okay. Right? I've never been on a polio visit. I have some club members who have, and they were so excited to go. Right. I mean, it just was they were very moving when they reported on their experience. Yeah.
So I went in my childhood, but I forgot about it during my adolescence about Rotary Club. Mm-hmm. But then recently, I attended one of the introductory meetings. When I say recently, it was last year, October. Mm-hmm. And through one of the Rotary programs, I happened to donate my stem cells to a cancer patient.
Congratulations for you and them.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I have such a lot of gratitude to the Rotary Club that they took the initiative to, run that drive and educate everybody about becoming a donor for a cancer patient.
Wow.
And then they took me as a lifetime honorary member.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's more motivating and inspiring.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And that all happened in a span of 6 months. Beginning April is when I joined the club. And now I'm part of the international service. I'm a co-chair of the international service in the club. And you've already seen my other roles as public image contact for the district, right?
Yeah.
So I want to put my blood and skin into this entire thing this year and see how it goes. I don't say I would like to be successful my first year, but I want to give my 100% and see where I can take our district and the clubs. So my motivation to take international service was, I have my bias towards running projects for India. But then after moving to the United States and meeting people from various ethnicities and diversities here, it kind of opened my eyes that, people living from people living in different countries have various problems. And Rotary, being an international organization, allows me to serve people across the world. Mm-hmm. I don't even have to think just about India. Now I think I have the entire world to serve.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. Well, the needs are abundant, right? There's there's plenty of needs. And so, but if there are personal things that cause certain communities to resonate with one more than others, then that's terrific. I've been trying to learn Spanish all my life. It seems like I grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico. When I was a kid, though, you know,
Okay.
I'm going to be 74 this year. All my
Wow.
childhood friends' families wanted them to speak English instead. So my Spanish speaking friends never spoke Spanish around me or at school or anything. And
Okay.
so, you know, I didn't get the early childhood opportunity to
Learn
learn.
Spanish.
And so I'm in some other retired folks, and I take a Spanish class once a week. We're on break for the summer, and then
Okay.
working with that Nicaraguan project. Only one of the NGO members in that we work with is a fluent on there now too. They have a translator on staff, but
Hmm.
so only two of them are fluent English speakers. But at least it motivates me to keep
Speak.
trying to learn to
Yeah.
speak Spanish. So
Nice.
and so for me, Central America, I have a little place also where my wife and I met in Belize, Central America, which is just around the corner. If you don't, I don't know if you know where Belize is, but it's
I've
around the
seen
corner
it on
from
the map,
Mexico.
but I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
Okay.
But we met there in the 70s when she was there on a water and sewer project working for the Canadian government. And so we still have a little property there. So Central America resonates for me, and Spanish speaking. And then it's easy to get on a red eye here in the Bay Area and be at the job site that afternoon, the next
Yeah.
day, I should say.
Yeah.
So I like that. But for example, in our Area 4, one of our clubs, the Tri-Valley Evening Club, had a large donor who was quite interested in projects in India. And so
Hmm.
they have a special affinity for projects in India. This year, I think our Area 4 people will probably be looking at another Rachel educational server. I don't know if you know about the Rachels. Actually, I have one right here.
Okay.
Bear with me for a second. They're kind of a,
Are you and Kathy related by any chance?
yeah. They sometimes call me Mr. Kathy.
Uh, is she your wife?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But so this is one of the top of the line Rachel pluses, and so this is a little it's a little computer in here that throws down a Wi-Fi hotspot once you boot it up, and
Oh,
it's loaded up with a good chunk of Khan Academy and the Wikipedia, and then a whole ton of open source
wow.
resources for math, science, literacy, literature, medicine, how to, whatever. And the NGO that champions these in the United States has affiliates. So the ones we've deployed, we have a project that's deployed 9 schools worth of these and Chromebooks in Guatemala. They have an affiliate in Guatemala that configures them with the Guatemalan national educational curriculum, and then they do a program to teach the teachers. And so you can really augment what meager resources there might be in these schools in terms of textbooks and so forth.
Yeah.
And even if they had internet, which in most places they probably don't, you can make sure that it's a carefully curated set of resources as opposed to the wild west of the internet where you go over to some student's desk and you see that they're on a site that they shouldn't be on, right? So that's kind of exciting. And so that's probably what we're going to do as one of our Area 4 projects is a follow-on to the now actually up and running project that we did for 9 schools in Guatemala. And the Tri-Valley Evening Club we were there, representatives from their club and the Dublin Club and myself were in the project fair that was in Antigua, Guatemala, in January of this past year, just before the pandemic. We were there, and so there's connectivity there. But I know David Gilpin and people from his Tri-Valley Evening Club in Area 4 are very interested in projects in India as well. So we can find opportunities and needs. So, and I'm just delighted to meet you, and I love that story. And I actually, it warms my heart to think that you were able to donate to a cancer patient and it matched, and that's just got to be so satisfying.
I know. We went through a lot of. I mean, it was a very stressful situation for us. COVID being one of the major factors.
Gosh, yeah.
And I have a baby at home, a 10-month baby.
Congratulations, boy or girl?
Girl.
Okay.
Yeah. So having a baby at home and going through that entire process, was life-changing. I was on a call with that organization that sponsors this donation. They were gathering my experiences right before our call.
Wow.
So I mean, I got lots of recognition and uh, I would say spotlight on myself after donating these stem cells. Because Asian community is underrepresented in that area, and
Ah,
they'd like to encourage more people to become part of the register.
yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in the registry for, well, when you say stem cells, that's like a bone marrow donor, or is it
Exactly. It's
different?
called Be the
Okay,
Match.
so yeah, but I've never been reached out to and said, hey, we have a match. I don't know if there's something I should do to sort of refresh my data or not, but
No, I think once you're past 52 years, they don't no
they don't
longer
want you.
consider. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, I'm well past that.
Yeah,
They still
exactly.
let me give blood though, so I
Right,
give
right.
blood as often as I can. I worked at Lawrence Livermore Lab for 33 years, and here in Livermore, and they made it really easy. The blood drive would come right to the to the lab, and then every manager on the lab had no problem with people taking an hour to go over and donate blood, and so it was easier. Than now that I'm retired, I have to find the blood drives on my own, and but there are some local ones that one of the Asbury Methodist Church here in Livermore does a regular blood drive, and so I find it very satisfying to give blood. It used to be if you traveled internationally, if you traveled to an area that had malaria, and there was a malaria watch for Belize. So every time I went to Belize to see my little place there passing through on the way to this project in Nicaragua, then you couldn't donate for a year. So I would try and time it so I could donate when I was in Belize, because I donated back in the 70s at least once when I was in Belize, but the little boy that I donated for didn't make it. But at any rate, I digress. Well, it's been a real pleasure to meet you, and let's stay in touch and see what we can do. And if you're interested in international service along with public image, I just think it's a great combination. I noticed that Richard's theme emphasizes TRF and public image and membership, because you can't do these things without raising the money, and you can't raise the money without results, which you see out of the projects that are completed and that people enjoy seeing where their money goes and so forth. And, and all that's part of the story. That's part of our image, right? So it's a nice combination.
So I think one other aspect, if you have time, I'd like to bring up one. So while we have smaller events planned on a monthly basis, as co-chair for my club, I want to work with you and find if there is a long-term initiative where our club can partner with any other club in the district under your guidance. If you can help us partner with them and take it for a longer term, right? So that our club gets to know about a certain event and we have that representation. Maybe it's the Nicaraguan water project or whatever other projects that clubs have been doing for the past few years. So Rachel Plus is something that's I've never known about us.
When you get a chance, it's easy. If you just Google it, and it's RACHEL. It's a complicated acronym for, it's kind of a long-winded acronym, but
Very possible, right?
Yeah,
I just saw that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's the one. And so one exciting thing that's kind of a small non-global grant approach to that is the Evergreen Valley Club. Two members who came to the Project Expo that, if my memory serves, we did at your facilities that you're associated with. I think that was
Silicon Andhra.
Yeah, I think that's where Kamal Dahl put it on, and we had somebody. These two members came. We had that little white one that I had on the table. We had it running, and we had a laptop pointing to it, so it serves it up like a set of web pages, right? So you point to it, and then you can see this Rachel content. And they were intrigued by it because there was in El Salvador, he has family there. Maybe they both do, I'm not quite sure. But they had a community where there's a mayor's office, and then there's a group of these small communities around the mayor's office. And the community they were trying to work in needed educational resources, and they were thinking, could they get internet to them? And it was going to be very, very expensive to bring internet, and then all the issues with that. And they saw this, and they spent a little bit of time talking with us about it, and then followed up with us afterwards. maybe a month or two afterwards. And we got the guy who was in Guatemala, who configures the ones that we've been working with the Guatemalan school district. We got him on a I think we did a Google meeting. Myself, the two members of their club, him and his wife, Efrain and Angie Cordoa, and then there was an empty seat when we came to the call, and it turned out that was the mayor's office. And then the mayor came on, this young man from a nearby community around there, and in his office, unlike the other communities, in his community and the mayor's office, they have broadband, they have good connectivity, and he was very enthusiastic about it. He offered to have the community teachers be trained in his office. They could arrange a remote training, so the guy in Guatemala could train teachers in that community. And then for the price of $500 for this Rachel Plus, it turns out in El Salvador, the president is giving every child a laptop, probably a Chromebook. And so you don't have to pay the extra cost of a Chromebook for 15 or 30 Chromebooks to staff a classroom to be able to implement this. So for the price of the Rachel, they could actually serve a classroom of students. And so with the pandemic, they've not been gathering in large school classrooms, but they've been doing it in smaller settings. And Efrain just sent me a bunch of photos of this this initiative, showing a teacher using it and instructing students with it. And so that's a small scale kind of a thing. It doesn't have the local flavor though that your event, the events that you've just described and that are on this flyer have. Yeah. So we should brainstorm a bit about the kinds of things that you're talking about. I know there are some, but I confess I've been so preoccupied with my own Area 4 global grants. I'm really having now to try and shift gears and look up and take a more district-wide perspective. I thought Geeta did a nice job in that she shared a lot of information with us last year, several sessions throughout the Rotary year where she had other clubs showcase their projects with an emphasis on not just global grant projects, but initiatives where there were opportunities for smaller cash contributions or smaller ways for people to participate. So I'd be very interested in seeing what we can explore there. Offhand, I don't have a ton of those things queued up that I could just point us to. I might be looking at you guys to be the leaders on this, because I really like this approach that these two events are really a neat way to think about that.
Yeah, got it. When you say Geeta, is it Geeta Kadambi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know her personally?
I've heard her name somewhere. I'm trying to recall where it was.
Well, she did this international service chair last year, so it's possible that you might have run across her there, or I think she has. She has a consulting practice, and it's been I don't know how long she's been active in Rotary, but she's a very energetic woman. And
got it. Pat, I'd like to ask you something.
Yes.
For this year, if we can experiment, is there a way that we can have a monthly or a bi-weekly call with all the international chairs in our district, 5 to 10 minutes on focusing one of their international projects and how they were able to benefit out of that, what impact they expect that project to serve the local community or the international community, and how, right? That way, if someone's not doing it actively right now, we could spark interest, saying, hey, one of our clubs is able to do, maybe you can partner with them in future. Right? And for myself, as I'm new to Rotary, it will definitely open more opportunities for me to connect with other folks who are doing it. And all of us may have some difficult situations or challenging situations to raise funds, to raise awareness. And all of us go through the same process. If someone's letting me know what kind of challenges they've overcome during the process, it might help me use those lessons learned for my next project.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
And I think examples of thinking of things besides global grants, which are big and harder to do. Some clubs are more experienced with them than others, but the ways that you could do things like these events that you guys are promoting, for example, I think are very accessible. They still take work and time and energy to pull them off and plan them and so forth. But I think that's a great idea to move to. So you're thinking either once a month or once every 2 months, something like that, but a regular sessions so that you could keep this dialogue going, and
Exactly.
not everybody will want to come, but those who do
Correct.
want to come can come and benefit from it.
Yep. Those ever who show up, we'll just have a conversation. If we have a project to showcase, we'll showcase. Right. But this will be a small family of just international chairs and co-chairs. That's it.
Yep.
We don't even have to invite the presidents. Presidents can be marked optional, but then I think it'll be an educational journey for everybody to take it forward. Right?
I like that idea a lot. I think that's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. I mean,
what
that's
else would
what
you
we
like to
do
cover?
at work. That's what we do at work, and it kind of helps
That's with
everybody.
Dilute Toys. Did they still have the toys part, or is it just Deloitte?
The toys part is there, but it's the international organization.
Okay.
Every country now has its own member firm. So I'm part of the Deloitte US Consulting.
I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So what kind of things do you do in your day job? Can you talk about them, or
yeah, sure. No, I can definitely talk about it. I'm an SAP consultant, so I do ERP implementations. I'm an engineer myself, but skilled in information technology.
Cool. Very neat.
Yeah. So I work for, I'm currently working on an ERP implementation for a chemicals client. It's a global client. They manufacture titanium dioxide. That's one of their finished products.
Got it.
Right. And so through their growth journey, they've acquired smaller competitors. And now they want to integrate all of them onto one platform. So they want to transform their IT solution into the latest SAP solution in the market.
Got it.
Yeah, and they are public, so they want to improve their public image by getting up to speed with the technology part as well.
Very interesting work. Yeah.
So I'm an expert in the warehouse management side of the.
Well, I had to laugh that I had, for some reason, it got past me, but a week ago we'd had an Engineers Without Borders project management. They have a regular, maybe every 2 months or quarterly project managers meeting, and I'd missed that one, and so I got a nudge from the vice president of the chapter who organizes the project manager meetings. And he said, you missed the last meeting, but we had a consensus that we'd move forward with a unified Slack approach for the chapter. And we need your view on that. And I wrote back and said, absolutely, let's go for it.
So the Slack platform, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not an expert Slack user, but I can appreciate the merit of that kind of a thing. And then he had provided a little bit of a one-page document that people had been commenting on. And the one fellow who's joined the chapter recently from a student chapter, so he's a young, up and coming kind of a fellow, had said, well, another thing that he's hearing a lot about is people using Discord, which yeah, right. So these are words that I'm only learning about. And I said, yeah, I think that we should, for the future, keep an eye on Discord. I don't know if you know of, my son did a postdoc at Stanford. His second postdoc was with Manu Prakash. Do you know about Manu?
I spoke with him 2 weeks back.
Oh my God.
Such a small world. Okay.
That's a small world.
Yeah.
Well, another guy on our Nicaragua team and I we participated in Manu's class, which was called Frugal Science, in which he had, I don't know, 700 people on the kickoff session, and hundreds stuck through the whole thing, working collaboratively on how to think about from the very beginning to scale, to really delve into the problem. I mean, as a consulting person, you would know this. Let's not jump to solutions. Let's really understand the problem, right? Yep. And Manu is very good at encouraging people to do just that.
I actually collaborated with him on building CPAP machines into ventilators.
Oh, yes. I know that they did a big initiative on that.
So I volunteered for that.
Good for you. Thank you for doing that. And my heart breaks for India still suffering hard in this. Maresh Harahani, our district governor before,
Ramesh Hariharan.
Ramesh, really pushing a number of initiatives where people can lean into that and help and so forth. Everything from just donating enough to get an oxygen concentrator there, and then some of these other initiatives. Well, small world, but I like the idea of some of these platforms. And in Manu's case, the thing that I took away with it is no matter what platforms you're using, that if you think about from the beginning to really carefully look at the problem and then think about solutions that really, if you want to make an impact globally, you have to think about it in a way that it can scale with frugal amounts of resources.
Yeah.
And that's so important. Well, what fun. We stumbled. Let me put you on my list of, oh my gosh, I made another amazing a friend in Rotary.
Patrick, you won't believe, in the last few months, I think last 3 months, I would say, I got to know so many people I didn't even imagine I would meet. Rotary has really opened up opportunities.
Oh, that's just terrific. Well, and I love your suggestions for today. So let's stay in touch. I don't know, has anybody asked Manu to be a Rotarian? Maybe you could ask him.
I should definitely give it a try. Yeah. I think he's occupied with so many things that would be one of the reasons he's not showing interest.
Yeah. But on the other hand, he might say, well, can I be an honorary one?
Oh, yeah. One of our clubs should definitely think about it.
Yeah, that'd be terrific. Well, what else do you want to chat about? I've got another call coming up, and I think, let me just make sure. I think it's not until 3:30, but let me just check here because I've been a little careless about managing my calendar. No, I actually have to go. I have to go.
All right,
about
please
now.
carry on. All right.
All right.
We'll stay in touch.
This is terrific. Bye-bye.
Bye.